Okay, our third speaker of this panel is Erica Pitsch, Dr. Erica Pitsch. She's a doctor of physical therapy at UCSF. And just as I encouraged everyone to go see Megan for speech therapy, I'd like to encourage everyone to go see Dr. Pitsch for physical therapy. And we're just getting her slides loaded. She is going to be speaking about move it or lose it, strategies to stay mobile and to stay safe. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. I always like this time slot because it's like the after lunch slump is kind of kicking in. So I always try to get people, awake and moving again. I just dashed from Pacifica. I'm participating in the Dickens Fair this year. And so you have to get vetted. You have to have your costume approved. You have to learn to speak in Victorian English. And they're required to do that. So that's why I was like rushing from here. So I've been doing this profession for a very long time now. And what I realized is the longer I do this, communicate with people about exercise and moving, the less sugarcoating I provide, which is why this is where the title came from. Because I'm just like, you know what? Atrophy happens to everyone. If you had a limb in a cast, and then you take the cast off and you look at that limb, that muscle shrinks. This happens regardless of age, station, diagnosis. And so this is what I really want to emphasize is that despite, you don't want to let PSP or CBD to take more than it already does. And so you have to keep whatever you have and keep fighting. So that's why the title Move It or Lose It comes from. So please don't lose ground dust from deconditioning. But the challenge is to keep moving and still stay safe. Sorry, I'm keep coming in and out of the microphone. I apologize. But that's the real challenge, because based on this diagnosis, it comes with postural instability, balance problems. That's part of the package. And so our job is to find the best way to keep you moving and not falling. And that can be a really challenge. And so that's why we're going to talk about in our outline here today, how to do this and not fall, and where to get help from the people that can help you do this. But before we do that, so I said the post lunch slump here, let's just get moving a little bit, just a little bit, okay? And of course, I have to take my jacket off for this. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, and now, there was a TED Talk by Amy Cuddy that came out a while ago. No? Yes, it's the ghost of Halloween present. And this is actually funny because when I did this talk, a number of years ago, I had video problems. So, yeah, it's me. Okay. All right. Well, we got a rhythm here, so let's go with it. Okay. So as I was saying, Amy Cuddy has a talk about body language. It's a TED Talk. And it's been since apparently just disproven by psychological research, but whatever. I like the idea, is that body language. People who sit like this kind of look like prey. People who stand like this kind of stand like superheroes. And no one who ever did this was losing. Right? Awesome, I got snake eyes. Yeah, no. So, I'm going to be moving so let's try this. To the best of your ability, it can be
I think
here.
this was
It can be just
loose, so I
elbow.
put this in. But is that on?
Yeah, great. Uh-oh. All right, is it on? We'll find out. I think. There we go. Maybe? Here we go. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're going to do an arm movement. You will do both. I'll do just one. It can be this, Or it can be this, whatever you have. If you're going to do this one, sit up really straight when you do it, okay? And then bring your arms down, okay? Actually, that's another little experiment. Slump and try raising your arms. Doesn't work, okay? Fix it. Your very best, like, hyper, super awesome posture, right? The best you can possibly muster. I know it's hard and it feels strange. That's okay, okay? Best posture you can muster, and then go. Lift your arms. Good, and then down. Okay, so now we're going to do like a little bit of a cheer. So we're going to do victory arms and then clap twice. Ready? Here we go. Wait for me. Right, so it's 4 times. One more. Okay, good. Just 4 times. Okay. Now, you got some leg room? Okay, no kicking your partners. Okay. So what you're going to do is just stomp your feet 3 times. Good. So just go 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, right? Let's do that 4 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 2. 1, 2, 3. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we're going to put those 2 together. Oh, God. See, again, now we're working your short-term memory, your executive functioning by task switching, and your body at the same time, right? It's not just physical exercise, it's mental exercise. So remember, victory arms, 2 claps. We're going to do that 4 times. And then you go stomp, stomp, stomp 4 times. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, stomp it out. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Cycle through 1 more time. Arms. Arms. There you go. Arms. 1 more. Stomp it out. Last time. Okay. Okay. Woo. You awake now? Okay. Let's continue. Okay. Woo. Before I was a PT, I was an aerobics instructor. Surprised? Not at all. All right. So, insult to injury, and that's why we're trying to like keep move it or lose it, is to prevent those consequences of just not moving. From just not moving, your stamina goes down. Your strength goes down. You get stiffer. Your bones and joints don't move as well. Your bone density. Your bones actually get less strong. And of course, if you're not moving, you're also more likely to get a pneumonia, a blood clot. All kinds of bad things happen just from not moving. Okay, and then there's a disease process that wants to make moving harder. So it takes even more effort and makes it more challenging. So but the question is, does exercise work to improve outcomes for people with PSP and CBD? And unfortunately, because they're not the most frequently occurring, there's not a lot of research on rehabilitation with these particular diagnoses. There's where we get sort of like the entry-level research, which is sort of case series. And what you can find is that in the short term, if you do a really intensive 4-week program, like 3 hours of therapy a day, I mean a ton of exercise, you can see short-term improvements. You can bump people up in their gait speed and even on their disease severity scores. But most of the rest of the research is on individual studies. One therapist followed a gentleman for 10 years, a gentleman with PSP, and he participated in a group exercise class for 10 years. Yeah, and they tracked his data. And he was able to maintain walking. 10 years later, he was still walking. He was using a U-step walker, but he did maintain mobility, and there was a slow progression. But if you looked at his progression and compared to most progressions, it was slower. Single case study with just one guy. But still, it shows hope, and that's what we think, is that with exercise, with anyone, we're trying to slow down the clock. Exercise is probably the best fountain of youth and probably the best way to preserve function. And of course, I'm totally biased. I'm an exercise believer. But it's the best thing you have, and it's easily accessible. So in terms of other diagnoses, for example, Parkinson's is studied a lot and often used as a comparison because it's so frequently occurring and has some of the similar symptoms. We can find that balance programs can improve balance, performance, but it didn't necessarily improve overall falls. Again, that's one study. A lot of other studies would argue that any physical therapy is better than nothing. And there are more studies that are coming out more recently that's continuing to show that people can respond in the short term to exercise. Now, there's some distinct challenges. The earlier stages of the disease, the more you can do safely. Anytime you have more resources, the more you can work with, the more options you have. Now, the uncomfortable truth, the way things get really, really challenging, and this is especially true for progressive supranuclear palsy, where falling is such a big problem really soon. And that's what as providers, worries us a lot. As family members, worries us a ton. And I don't know if have you read Atul Gawande's book on Being Mortal? But I just got to hear him speak on Monday. And this is not only about like end-of-life care, but anytime we were facing frailty, anytime we were facing a change in status, he had this really keen observation. Because he said what patients want is autonomy. What family members want is safety and security. Right? And so that's where we have this challenge of maintaining mobility and staying safe. So trying to have that independence and still not fall. And that sort of that fine balance between maybe using an assistive device, maybe using either a walker or a wheelchair just when you need to get from point A to point B safely. But then there's that challenge of keeping walking and not falling. And that's the hard part. And we haven't perfected that yet. And that's what, honestly, I still have not figured out a way to stop people with PSP from falling 100% of the time. It's really, really difficult. It takes vigilance, it takes attention, it takes caution while still moving. The other challenge is that there are cognitive deficits, often impaired memory. If you need a reminder to take your medication, it's also hard to remember to take a walk or do exercises. And so it helps to have a family member, a caregiver, remind you or go through the exercises with you. And even with dementia, so because dementia is so frequently occurring, there's more research on that as well. People with Alzheimer's, on Alzheimer's units, can improve function with exercise. Oftentimes they will need to be guided through the exercise to remember how to do them and to get the motivation to do them. But it is possible. If you get moving, people can improve their function. Now, what kind of activity works best? And there is an exercise for everything, but there's always, exercise is very specific. As I tell my patients, your balance is great lying down, but bed exercise is not going to improve your balance. You can improve your leg strength with bed exercise. You can do bridges. You can help your trunk strength. You can do all kinds of arm and leg exercises in bed. You can stretch in bed and keep your flexibility. That's great. But if you want to get better at balance, you have to practice standing up. That gets scary. You have to practice in a safety cage. And even with this, I'll have my students, they'll be teaching an exercise and they'll doing like heel raises like this. Or maybe here. Now, am I working my balance? Or am I working my arms? Yeah, so you start working like your support system. So if we try to have people exercise in a corner. Or as I call it, the kitchen sink with the chair behind, that's your safety cage. Right? So you got the kitchen sink, you can float your hands. And then you got the chair behind. So finding a way to work on balance where you're safe. To work on walking. Or maybe you just want to work on endurance. You just want to get your cardio, which is a very noble effort. Exactly. You can do stationary bicycles, recumbent steppers, anything you can sitting, doing your little sitter-sized dancing. That gets your heart rate up. That's another form of exercise. So thinking about what benefit you want to get out of the exercise and matching that to the typical type of exercise. Like I said, dual tasking, standing exercises and walking, least safe, most beneficial for balance. Okay, so people will always ask, what's the best exercise? And the best exercise, one, is the one you'll do and the one you can do safely. So there's been some research on boxing. If you're a nonviolent person, that's okay. Dancing's better. If you hate dancing, then do something else. But the point is do it. But in general, goal-directed, putting the fun in functional activities are more motivating, right? Music-based interventions. Actually, this was a, as we call it, falling down the PubMed rabbit hole. So when you go into the medical literature and you search like exercise and progressive supranuclear palsy or exercise and Parkinson's, you say, what comes up? There's a huge review paper that came out on music-based therapy, which I'm very happy about because, again, I like music and I like dancing. And we're finding that music has key ingredients. It's not just the motivation, it's the memory, it's the joy, I don't know what that magic that comes with music. And especially for people with memory problems, it can bring you back to that time when that song was played. I teach a group balance class on Friday mornings, and you would be amazed how calisthenics look different between when you just do them, with just counting, and then you have, let's say, Aretha Franklin. And it's amazing, because then you start people going, ooh, what you want? Ooh, baby, I got it. And they just they just add so much more oomph to it. Or Uptown Funk even. That's another really good one. Perfect tempo for calisthenics. The other stuff that's showing potential is even movement-based video gaming systems. So like the Xbox Kinect or the Nintendo Wii, they're starting to make more games that are a little bit more accessible to more ages. And those can be fun because, again, it's way more fun when you move, something explodes. If you get a reward, It's definitely, and when it just says game over, you get to try again. But yeah, a lot of those things can help be motivating and pass the time. In my background, I'm always interested in motor learning. I was actually attempting a PhD in working on a motor learning concept called external focus of attention. Meaning, if you focus outside your body, people tend to learn better than focusing inside your body. Because when you think about it, if you ever walk, you're not going heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. You're just walking. If you're picking up a cup, you're not going extend my elbow, open my fingers. But yet, us professionals tend to be like, oh, lift your spine, straighten this, tweak that, lower your hip, do whatever. People don't move like that. But if you think, flick the towel, you're not going to flick a towel slowly. Right? Then it doesn't work. If you want to snap a towel, you got to move fast. Right? And that's some of the things, especially with some of these disease processes, your disease may want you to move slow. So anytime you can do something that helps you move fast, you're holding on to that movement. You're fighting back. And that's why boxing has really sort of gotten a hold. Number one, it's externally focused. It's fun. But by the nature of the task itself, the only way to make that pad move or that punching bag to move is by getting it quickly. And you would be amazed how many mild-mannered people turn into quivering, snarling, white-hot balls of boxing terror when they get a pair of gloves on. It is amazing. It is amazing. So even if you're not a boxer, it's okay you're hitting pads, not people. But no, it can be a lot of fun. And then also you're doing combinations, right? Right hook, left hook, cross. Maybe punch, punch, don't go, then punch. It's a lot to remember. It's a lot to process. So every time you're doing that, you're preserving that and you're using it. Right? Looping back to the use it or lose it. Okay. Overcoming barriers. How am I doing on time? I can't even see the clock thing here. Am I right? Okay, 5. Okay, excellent. Okay, so a lot of people say, but, you know, great, thank you. I got a big 5. All right, so a lot of people, everybody has barriers to exercise. Most of the population does not exercise, and they don't have neurologic issues. So you have even more of a challenge. But there are a lot of barriers that you can try to overcome. I mean, a lot of people say, well, I'm not an athlete. No, you don't have to be an athlete. Just like, you know, you're not a toothbrusher either. But still, hopefully, if you want to keep your teeth, you brush your teeth, right? Same thing. If you want to keep your walking, if you want to keep your posture, if you want to keep your muscles, you use them. You got to use them. It's like it's your daily upkeep. Can't find the time? Put it on your calendar. Just set an alarm. Okay? Your prime time of day? Just set your alarm for that. I am a morning person. Also, I find that stuff just starts happening during the day. So you just do it. You just get up, have your coffee, do whatever you do in the morning. Set aside 30 minutes, just get it done. Maybe after you brush your teeth. Or before, right? I have a hard time getting motivated. Okay? That's where group classes, and again, some people are more solitary, but group classes can be great. They're a great social experience. They're a great accountability experience. Because now you have people going, hey, where were you last week? And I can tell you from our group class on Fridays, it's been going for a number of years now. It's really cool because people will get there early and they'll circle the chairs and chat and socialize. And that's really important. Human connection is really important, and you know, especially now, it's just really nice to get this group energy together. And I do find people tend to work harder when there's someone next to them working with them, or even work as partners. So finding that group there, and there's a ton. I know the Parkinsons Support Network and the Brain Support Network has a lot of links to programs all over the Bay Area. Okay. So doing things that are fun, again, we talked about fun in boxing. Dogs, I put a plus and minus there. Pets. Gotta walk the dog. But the dog can also trip you. The dog can also take after a squirrel. Yeah, there are many complications with plus or minus a dog, but I have met people at the dog park that have said, my dog is my best therapist because I have to go walking. Yeah, and maybe you go out, you know, with a caregiver. Maybe it's a joint experience, but again, it gets you out, and they're just infinite sources of love. And of course, this was my mom a number of years ago pulling weeds in the garden with her, what? With her boxing gloves. No, I hate weeds. Snails, right? Yeah, no, that's what you really want to do, but no, this was my mom just getting outside and gardening. Again, plus and minus, risk to benefit. You know, really high opportunity to fall here, really troublesome environment to fall. But at least it's soft dirt. I mean, yeah. Speaking of which, not falling. Okay, forgot I had all this part. So we talk about, that leads me to environmental hazards. There's some hazards you can't eliminate. The uneven dirt on the garden, you can't do anything about that. But the cords in your house, the rolled up throw rugs, all those environmental hazards, shoes, dog toys, all those things, you gotta get rid of those, or at least manage them. Putting in the grab bar, the raised toilet seat, just that little handle in the right place makes everything so much easier. Okay. Just a little word on assistive devices. The U-step walker or a rollator is the way to go. Sticks, canes, just get in people's way. They trip people. There's actually research on that that shows that walking deteriorates when you use a cane or a walking stick or a pickup walker, just the rollators are the way to go. Okay, to get help. If you have any other medical problems that would prohibit you from exercising, get the okay from your physician first. PTs are the ones that can help you with figuring out which assistive device works for you or getting you exercising. Occupational therapists are your people for getting you dressing, bathing, all the gadgets that can help you do things better. They are the gadget people and the activities of daily living people. If you need somebody to just take you through the exercises, personal trainers, they can actually, your PT can actually work with your trainer and go, do this, and help them do that. Whew. And that was the accelerated edition in 1 minute. Thank you for your attention and your activity and participation.